Hello YouTube people, welcome back. A quick summary of what's in this video is stuff and things have happened here, more stuff and things have happened here, very little has happened here. I think that's about it. So, I've just finished editing this video and as sitting with a cup of tea, as I do, checking the video through before I commit it to YouTube, which takes many, many hours. So if something's wrong, it's a pain in the arse. And it wasn't particularly wrong, but the intro basically just shunted straight into me faffing about with these looms, which you will see in a moment. And it just didn't really make any sense. So now I've decided to film this bit, which is me talking about what's about to happen to try and make it transition in smoother. I don't think it's working, to be honest, but this is where we're at. So in a sec now, you'll see me jumping into working on some looms. Does that make more sense than it would have done without me saying that? Probably not. Whatever. Enjoy. First job I decided to do in this video, without gloves again, was feed through the looms that were sat on the engine bay that are going to get in the way of the respray. I was going to mask them off until I decided to take the wings off, and then I realised I could poke them back out of the holes from whence they came, and then they'll be completely out of the way of all the work I'm doing. I could probably even go in the footwell now and disconnect these connectors and actually have those looms fully off. So I might do that, but for now, that side is all out of the way. The reason I say, or I sound fairly confident about finding the connectors and removing the looms that way, is I've had to do a bit more faffing about on this side because I got to here and realised that is not going to go through that. I'll just show you the hole on this side. That's just not big enough for the fuse box to go through. And I was like, how the fuck did Jaguar, did they wire the fuse box up afterwards or what? And then realised it was just being a retard. And obviously they must have just connected up the loom in this sort of direction. So I went in there and found the connectors. So I'll show you that bit now. I filmed this in a daft order, by the way. So I'll sort this out in the edit. You'll now see how to disconnect that from there and then come back and join me and we'll feed the loom through this way instead of this way, because then it'll fit. What you want to do is open your passenger side. A good bit of fluff in my mouth there. Passenger side door. And if you come in here, I have already pulled this out, but it's kind of all tucked in this little hole. There was a bit of duct tape across there as well. I assume that was original. Yeah, basically that loom that's giving me the problems is here on these two connectors. I can't really mix them up because, so basically that's that white one that goes on to something that I took off earlier. I can't remember. Oh yeah, that's it. That goes on to this connector here. I'm just looking now at, so that one's got a load of green wires and that's got a load of green wires that are going to correspond, and that's a totally different shaped connector despite being white as well. That's all I was checking. You can see my thought process there. So we'll just disconnect that white one there, and this red one, how's that one work? Same sort of thing, just injure your thumb. Whoops, forgot there's no door seal at the minute. Need to be a bit more gentle with the doors. So basically this is the other end of it here. Just get this grommet out of the way. So that now, whoops. Oh, I see. We've got ourselves in a bit of a tangle here, haven't we? Right, I'm just going to untangle this and then come back to you. Okay, so now that's disconnected. I can just pull through that bit that I've just disentangled. Oh, don't put pressure on any of it. There we go. It's just the indicator that was just stuck there. So that now is the passenger side loom all disconnected. Let's just pop that down there for now. I did lose, actually it's split, that's why is it split? It's hanging on by, wow, that is really hanging on in there. I know what that's off actually. That's off this yellow connector. That's how bad I am now for knowing this loom and this car. I even know individual connectors. I'll clear up all these bits in a bit. Yes, the question is now whether to just investigate whether we can just actually disconnect all these looms, and then I've got a completely clear front end. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh yeah, the charcoal canister. That needs removing as well, and whatever this, don't know what that is. It's some sort of ambient air temperature thing. Seems a bit massive for that kind of simple job, but I guess we're talking old technology here. Excuse me. And then while we're on, we may as well remove this pipe that goes to the charcoal canister from the fuel tank, and may as well, yes, remove the fuel filter lines. So basically that vacuum line, not vacuum line, expansion line from the fuel tank that runs under the car, and the fuel line that's left on. Let's just clear everything off, because I'm 99% there anyway, and then I can just decide, because I still haven't decided yet whether I'm going to go with underseal here or take off, because I'm going to have to take off all this old underseal anyway to do the respray, because I want to respray this, obviously. And this was never sprayed in the first place, but we want to kind of get all this back to bare metal along with the engine bay, respray the whole thing, and then put things back together. And I'll probably have this black anyway, because I don't really like painted wheel arches. I think they look a bit silly when you see them from the side. You can kind of see the wheel and then the paint, and the back's black. And I'm not taking all the underseal off the whole bottom of the car, because we're not doing a full car restoration here. We're just doing a sort of half-arthed front end one. I don't know is the answer, but I would like those out of the way, because then I can really, I've got some options then. I've got to go put some gloves on before I go back in the car. Well, that was a quick decision. By the way, I couldn't be bothered to put gloves on. Fuck that. That one heads off under there, off somewhere that it can't, I just don't know where it goes. And I'm not dismantling dash and things like that. It could be anywhere in there. Just no, I'm just gonna walk away from that. That can just stay there, get masked off. Not getting involved in that. This side, what do we got? That bollocks of it. There's literally just two things coming out. I can't even be bothered. I'd have to remove a load of front inner stuff, some trim and that, and I can't be bothered. So I'm just going to mask them off. They can just stay like that. They're not in my way. That's great. Right, next, well, I need to tidy up because I've made quite a mess here. So if we go in here and look at the accelerator pedal, just up there, whoop, come on, zoom in, is where it connects. Very rudimentary. It's just the end of the cable there coming in, and a split pin. So I'll pull the split pin out, and then I assume some sort of sleeve moves out the way, and then you can pull the end of the cable out. So I'll just get that split pin out. Right, with the split pin removed. Sorry for any weird noises, by the way, but I'm incredibly uncomfortable right now. I'm sort of half in and out of the car, lying on the bit where you bring your feet in. What's that called? The door sill. Yes. Anyway, split pin removed. This bit pulls forward. Can only go back on one way because that split pin hole needs to be lined up with the split pin hole, so you don't need to worry about that. Then, oh, by the way, I just disconnected the spring to stop it lifting back up because it was annoying me. And then I'm just going to feed the cable through and release, and that should now come out the top of the car. Where is that spring anyway? Oh yeah, it's just hanging down here. So basically when I'm putting it back together, I just need to hook that spring up to its little locating hole up there. But it can stay there for now. Right, I'm going to try and back out of here without breaking my back. So with that disconnected, I assume, but I don't know, I can just pull it out here. I assume this is just a grommet. Okay, well I just pulled that and it popped out. I assume it just goes back through there. Will it penetrate? That's, yeah, well it probably will with a bit of lube. Whoops. Anyway, there's the throttle cable out. Quite like to pull this out. Doesn't seem to want to. I don't know if it's got something on. Oh, there we go. I was going to say something on the other side, which it does. A little lip, so that needs to go back in that way. That's now done. That goes with that. I'll file that away along with that little sheathy bit. Where did I put that? There it is. Okay, so all I need is a new split pin and basically the reverse of that to reinstall. Bagged up the looms, that's that side. So we've got nothing there now, apart from that stupid vacuum line from the ECU. So it's just going to have to stay there. And that's the other one just bagged up. And then that other one that I could remove is in the bag there. And don't forget, we've actually stored in the car. I've got the, what I was calling the centre loom with all the injector wiring on and stuff. Anyway, let's get rid of this charcoal canister. Just gotta, let's turn the light on. That's better. I need to get some of these. That's the wrong tool. I need to get some of these spring clip. Ow, just spring clipped my finger there. Bought a big sort of bulk pack of these. And the shit, like proper sort of made in China nonsense. Need some proper automotive ones. Probably still made in China, but just better. Whoops, don't want to lose that. It's not original, by the way. I remember replacing that many years ago. So this is the line that attaches to the line that attaches to other lines that attach to your fuel tank to allow it to breathe. Oh, there's one more here. Should normally be, this would normally be hidden away in front of your front plasticky stone guard thing. Get off. Give it up. Right, 3 of them. Oh, and another. That does look like OEM. This is the kind of, let me just zoom in. This is what you want them to look like if you're going to buy some. These are the proper jobs. So I can't angle the camera and look at what I'm doing. I need some wider pliers, really. But they're in the house because the girlfriend's doing DIY and she's stolen all my tools. Oh no, I don't think I can do it with these. Ah, I got it. Got it there. Not ideal. Right, let's just zoom out, shall we? Let's just wiggle this line off here. Yeah, come on now. Give it up. There we go. That's off there. Move all that down there and pop that off there. Right. That can just sit there for a minute. Wonderful smell of petrol now. What are we looking at here? I can't see anything past my camera. I made myself a little head mount, by the way, which is fantastic for filming because I've got both hands free. Downside is I'm kind of looking at what I need to do through the camera because it's in my line of sight. So if I want to actually look at what I need to do, I need to look off to the side, which is not so good for you, but I'll edit this bit out. Right, figured out what I need to do now. All that can just stay on it. Oh, I'll just hit the camera. There's just 2 fixings here onto the body. What are they? They're a lot bigger than 13mm. I'm going to say 14, 15. Probably wrong. I was way out. It was 13 or whatever the imperial equivalent is. Don't know why I thought they looked so massive. Maybe it's the petrol fumes getting to me. Let's just nip that off there. one charcoal canister. Obviously I could disconnect all the hoses, but I'll just wrap them round, put it in storage for now, along with its line, which has all its bits still on, and I'm not even looking where I'm filming, am I? And the 3 screws what hold those on. Can't remember if that's original or whether I drilled these out. Can't remember. Doesn't matter anyway. That's that out of the way. Let's tackle this sort of what looks like a loudspeaker. It's not. It's some sort of sensor. I remember this previously because I wanted to take this off years ago when the reason my car sort of in bits looks immaculate, like this bit and some of the fixings and stuff, is because a few years ago I kind of did a front end refurb along with lots of other work. So there's kind of bits that are being sort of gone over with varying levels of professionalism and knowledge. I know a lot more now, so I do a better job. And I remember I wanted to take this off and I couldn't. I remember that from the time because it's riveted. So that can just get sanded down and painted, I think. And I'll just do what I did last time, which is just nip the actual thing off, leave the bracket on. Or if I get really carried away, I could drill those rivets out, get that polished up and pop it back on. I'm being massively OCD here because you can't see this. This is all hidden away, but I know it's there. Right, that's simple enough. I forgot, I removed the, there was a fuel line that comes through here. Can't remember if it's the feed or return. I think it's the feed. I think it's the bigger one of the two. Anyway, it goes through here and you can't feed it back out the way without actually disconnecting the whole fuel line. I don't think I filmed that. I might go into fuel lines in a bit more detail one day. I did show them in another video where I'm talking about the fuel tank breather system and the expansion line that I've just taken off. So if you want to see the fuel lines connect onto the fuel tank up the back and how they attach along here, there's a load of connectors that connect it onto the floor to here, then that's in that video. So all I need to do now in this video is, and I already loosened these the other day, is just disconnect this from the car, and it can just sit down on the floor. Again, I'll probably bag it up or something. Ignore what I just said. I've already decided the fuel line and the expansion tank line are going to get in my way, so I'm now under the rear of the car. This is rear subframe. There's a bit of exhaust. It's all very shiny. Did that in another video. Up there is where the fuel lines come. So like I said, I've already disconnected what I think is the return, actually, because that says high pressure on it. Low pressure. I don't know which one's which. It doesn't really matter for now, but you can just see they connect up onto the fuel tank. They're just a click fit in, and then they've got this retaining clip, which you need. Actually, I forgot to bring it with me, a screwdriver. You just pop it out and try not to lose it. It's a fun game. It likes to spring off places. The expansion breather comes here, and that hasn't even got a... Oh yeah, I remember that was a new bit of line I had to put on, and I couldn't find a spring clip at the time, and it was such a tight fit. This is a bit of custom anti-chafing done by me with some gaffer tape, by the way. Yours won't look like that. But yeah, basically I just need to pop that out there, which is going to be pretty much impossible, to be honest, for me. Yours will just pull out. I will fight with that. If I can't disconnect it, I can always just kind of rotate it over there or something. There's a lot of maneuverability on that, but I'll see what I can do. I have decided, possibly bad choice, but to remove these front bumper shock absorbers, so it goes that way. The reason I was sort of not wanting to remove them is I sort of faffed about with these before, couldn't really understand the adjustment and things, and also as you start adjusting it this way, this starts popping out, and I was concerned that it wouldn't have a lip on that side to help you push it back in. I kind of worried that it would just be a straight cut and I'd never get it back in that hole. But curiosity got the better of me, and it's actually fairly straightforward to remove it. I also wanted to see why they'd left such an excessive thread, and the reason is it kind of needs to come back to here at least before you can put some lube on this side and knock it out with a soft hammer. I'll see how it goes on the other side anyway. So, oh yeah, basically need a big adjustable because I don't have the right size. Right, just need to loosen that, get that out of the way, and the big washer that sits behind it. And wrong way again. Then we need to go all small and get on this square. Don't know why they didn't just put a socket fitting on it, but and basically just wind it off. As I do that, you probably can't see it, but this should be pushing this way. It's minute adjustments, and I guess this is how you set your, because this attaches to the big girder that is the front bumper, so I guess this is how you set that angle. Absolutely perfect. Just see if I can zoom in and you can see it coming out at all. Oops. I don't think you can. It's minute. I can feel it coming out. I'm getting towards the end of the sort of usable thread now. Years of crap and stuff on the end of the thread. I'll see. I got to about there on the last one and it knocked out. Give it a bit of lube. A bit of persuasion from behind. There we go. So yeah, that you can just see the state of the thread. Once you get towards the end, that needs a really good clean. But anyway, they can be cleaned back to new now. Don't think it matters which side goes which. Let's pop the bits back with it. Good. That's cleared another thing off. I didn't bother filming it, but I have just disconnected that ECU vacuum line again and dropped that down to the middle. As I've explained, I can't disconnect it without lots of faff, and I don't need to. That can just get bagged up. And I've also disconnected the main earth coming from the battery. That's just some push-click fittings. You just disconnect them, and that's basically just an electrical cable. A big one. So that'll get bagged up. The only thing to mask up then in the engine bay is these earth points, that water heater thing, and the steering column, which again, I'm sure I could remove, but I don't know, that means removing steering wheels and crap that I can't be bothered with. What to do with the other one of these? I don't know. Just doing a bit of investigating into the construction of Jaguar XJSs. It's not very often you get to see a cross section of part of your car, so it's quite interesting. This bit here, so this piece here is the driver's side donor panel from Florida, so it's pretty much rust free. Lots of sun damage. It's not a problem we have in the UK. The guy who cut it out for me just literally sliced through the pillar, so that bit there that I've just removed is that black piece that goes up up and over the door that I removed in the last video to get access to the side chromes. So that's that piece. Got a couple of spare screws there. He could have actually taken that off and sold it, but I guess it wasn't really worth enough money to go through the effort of doing that. So ignoring where I'm going to cut down there yet, I do know I'm going to cut in the V here because I don't need this bit of metal here. The aperture, if you like, where the windscreen bonds on, is great on my car. Had to do some work on that last time, but now it's mint, so I don't need to touch that. He's actually done me a bit of a favour here. He obviously started cutting down here before he decided to cut somewhere else. Evidently with the windscreen still in. There's lots of glass and death here. But anyway, I'll be cutting basically the same place as that cut is there in the channel of the V, all the way around here, because I don't need any of this. This is going to be my car. Then when we get here, actually, it looks fairly simple. All I need to do, so I'll be cutting in this V anyway, so that will separate this piece upwards. And then this is the bit I need as well. I just need to separate it. It's actually sort of goes in and is folded in on itself. But what I'm going to have to try and do is get in here and separate that off, or just sort of cut here and then grind it off until literally I've just got that. And then I can do the same on my car. I basically just need to again measure from a set point wherever I've cut it cleanly. And then that's that lip with that crease. I need to separate it there. Good metal underneath, hopefully. That'll then get separated away and basically cut in the channel of the V along there. This bit's hidden behind a seal anyway, so it'd be nice to put the weld there. This is then all hollow under here, so this bit just all comes away. Then this is all press or whatever it's called, welded along the front here, but it's separate up to a point. So if I'm lucky, I'll be able to cut down here, I'm thinking, because I want to keep all this original. Don't really want to be faffing with that. If I do a nice line down here, basically wherever the before it sort of hits whatever it hits under here, that'll just lift away. And again, my edge here is great. There's no corrosion actually here at all. It's the one place there is some corrosion on the donor panel. So again, I want to keep that. So I'm hoping I can just, again, trim just under the line here, because there's nothing then, there's none of this sort of press welding or whatever it's called, because that's a nightmare. You've got to kind of find out where the points are. I mean, you can just see them probably in the filler here. There's little indents here, so that's where there'll be a weld. Spot welding? I don't know what it's called, but you'd have to find the specific points, drill it out, and then separate the two layers of metal. And it's just a pain in the ass. So I'd really rather cut that line there and then weld that back on. All that's hidden anyway. It's just when I get to, that's lovely, that, isn't it? It's just when I get to here, I've got to be careful. So maybe I'll be able to come straight down and put a tidy little weld in there. Flatten it all out. I don't really know. I mean, you don't see this bit anyway when the bonnet's shut, but when you open the bonnet, you want this all to be perfect. You don't want to see a big ugly weld along here. That's some sort of plan. I tell you what, if someone can help me understand, by the way, Jaguar's design here, I don't understand it. You've got your drainage channel. It's the water and rain, which we have a lot of in the UK. It's going to come here. It's going to run down here. That all makes sense. Into this kind of bath here. There's also a little hole here. Is the idea that it's supposed to run out here? Because this is uphill. So it's just going to gather here. And then is it supposed to run down the wing? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I kind of expected to see some drainage hole here, because there's also some sort of little water feature here, it looks like, because I can't see any other reason for that. So that's maybe supposed to catch any extra... I just don't know. It just makes no sense. How's the water supposed to get out of here? Is it supposed to just evaporate? Anyway, if anyone knows, just let me know. Or maybe it's just a bollocks design and water does just sit here, which is what causes all the problems. Anyway, windscreen removal time. So basically, in these later cars, my windscreen is just bonded on. The other side of this big line, I'll just zoom in so you can see. Oh, that's no good, is it? Let's turn the light on. So this big, thick line of black stuff is when the windscreen fitter comes and pipes a big line of whatever this black stuff is, and then sits the windscreen on it, sets it level, and then that's how it sits forever until you come along with a very sharp knife and basically cut the windscreen away. We don't want to go anywhere near this side of things, is what I'm trying to say, because this side of things, there's all sorts of seals, mastic dams, I think is one of them's called, and things like that. So basically, I want the sharpest, most flexible knife that I've got, which in my garage is this. You could probably use a very thin kitchen knife maybe, but it needs to be able to flex. And I'm going to go in the car. This is how I did it last time anyway. I don't know if this is the correct way, but oh, I haven't been in here in a while. Kind of makes me miss driving it. Anyway, let me just put that incredibly sharp knife down before I stab myself. In this corner here, whoop, you'll see this seal. I want to get hold of the fucker. There we go. And pull it out. Oh, let's just zoom out now, shall we? That's that. Pop that to one side. With that seal removed, the next thing you want to remove is a seal that sits, and I've had to pull it off because I couldn't find it earlier. Oh, it's just disappeared down the front there. Right, if I just zoom in over there where I haven't pulled it off yet, whoops, it sits this way round on the, oh god, it's so hard to focus, on the lip of the aperture. So basically, if you were looking in, you'd just see this edge. You will notice a few nicks and cuts on this, because the reason I know what I'm doing this time is I didn't know what I was doing last time, and I caught it because basically I didn't pull this off first. I went along with my knife as close as I could to the glass, but every now and then I'd nick this. So what you want to do is just pull that away first. So I'm just working it out. Oh, that's it. Well, it's not in two pieces. It's in one piece that runs all the way round along the bottom and back up. So if I just carry on pulling from this side, I may need to get in the passenger seat to do this. What I don't want to do is snap it, because I think I glued this, because it's almost impossible to get it to stay put. Yeah, I think I ran a bit of super glue around. I'm kind of kidding myself here that I don't need to take all this trim off. I'm just putting it off till a later date. Right, there's that. Whatever it's called, mastic dam, I think is what it's called. I might be wrong. That might be another part that I haven't got to yet. That goes there. Don't worry about my headlining. It's always been like that. It's always just tucked in up there. Yeah, I'm kidding myself, because I'm just remembering now. This is a voyage of remembrance for me as much as it is exploration for you. I was hoping I didn't have to remove all of this trim and the headlining, which means I need to remove the wing mirrors. Wing mirrors? They're not wing mirrors. Sun visors. But I will need to, because when I come to reinstall, I need to be able to get on the aperture and put that. Oh, unless because I can do it from the other side, maybe. Maybe that's possible. I don't know. We'll see. I probably want the headlining out of the way anyway. I know, because I won't be welding anywhere near up there. I don't know. It's what I'm saying. There's a lot of... Oh, the steering locks, come on. Oh, well. There's a lot of things I don't know right now. Anyway, with that off, there's a lot of waffling there, wasn't there? You want to take your incredibly sharp, flexible knife and start stabbing it into the... Where is it? Into the bond between the windscreen and the car. So if I can just get the fucking thing to focus, I'm going right in, there we go, next to the glass. And basically I'm now just going to work my way along. It's a very long, laborious way of doing things. So just while I'm at this particular point, it's a good opportunity for me to, whoops, show you what's going on. I can't open the door fully because I parked the bike right next to it. But if I just push the door open with my knee, you can just see there the blade of the knife coming out. So that's basically where I'm cutting. If I just wiggle the knife, I'm cutting just underneath the glass. I can't do it one-handed because it is pretty tough stuff and I need both hands on it. Every now and then I get an easier bit and I can just kind of pull and do a nice length at once. So I've pretty much done the driver's side half now, and as you'll see, the windscreen is no longer bonded to the car. Obviously I don't want to push now and try and save time by just pushing it off. It needs to be completely unbonded. It will just crack if I put too much pressure on that. So I'll go around the passenger side and do the same. Whew, I am knackered. I don't know why, but that was a lot harder than last time. I don't know if it's because it was new, more modern bonding that the guy put on last time. You'd think it'd be the other way around, that it would be softer and more malleable, but no, that was tough stuff to cut through. I would have preferred a bit of a bigger knife, really. Anyway, it's done. I've got a clear area over there in which to place it. You can use those glass sucker things if you want, but as you're probably aware, with the Jaguar XJS, the windscreen isn't massive, so it's very easy just to pick up at this stage.
Hi guys, I've just got an hour.
I've just got an hour free in the garage before other commitments on a Sunday night. So I'm going to sort out this windscreen aperture. Obviously, I'm not sure what the last bit of video I shot was, but the windscreen is now out, but it's left lots of old windscreen bond and stuff on the aperture. This needs to be gone back to bare metal and then just get some primer on it to stop it oxidizing and rusting, and then that can sit and wait to be painted along with everything else in due course.
The other reason I'm doing this now is to understand what's under here, because I'm going to take this bit of masking away and I'm going to start attacking this as well, because I want to understand how far up here I need to go.
Right, so actually you can now see there's a bit of archaeology here. So this is where we were a few years ago. This was there's a reverse alarm. Might have a delivery. Nope, not for me. So it was rotten all up here, and these are very well. Actually, that bit's not particularly difficult shape, but then it all starts bending round and making all sorts of weird shapes. So I do remember this was done in kind of patches. So there's a lot of spot welding gone on here. It's actually held up pretty well. There's no rust or corrosion. I have a feeling that bit might just be filler. But anyway, I've got now on that other piece a good bit up to there, so I can see that, you know, basically what I was checking was that this bollocks didn't go up higher than that, and it doesn't. Once we get to here, we'll be able to cut it off. I've even got a bit more to play with if I need. So it's a bit easier to see on the donor panels what my plan, anyway, whether it'll work out at the front edge is. So this is the bulkhead, which obviously I don't want to cut through going towards the front of the car. So this is me upside down in the bonnet looking that way. This is where the windscreen washer motor is. So obviously I can come in here up to about 5 mil up to the front of here. Basically I'll just have to measure it on this one, draw some lines, and then keep myself 5 mil away from the bulkhead. That means I'll also keep the lock nut for the bonnet adjuster on the other side, obviously. This all needs separating. There's lots of layers of metal going on here at the minute that I don't need. When it's finished, it looks a bit like this. So basically that's that. I just need that top layer. what I've done so far on the car and just discuss options. Happy with this, very happy with this. I know I can separate that on the car and come down the valley of the Aperture. That's, well, supposing that I can weld without setting fire to the car, that's going to work. Here, I've left this lip on, basically because I knew I could take more metal off if I needed to, which I'm going to, but I couldn't put it back on. But I have decided if I cut down the middle of here, so I keep all of this, which obviously I need, all of this unique shape to the Jaguar XJS, it's then just single ply metal all the way down the middle of here. I'll discuss the front bit in a minute. I can obviously do the same on the car then, and that'll just pop on there, and I'll use the original lip because there's nothing wrong with it. So ignore that dotted line, it's actually going to end up about here. Here, this bit here was all rusty, and trying to separate that old piece from the car is just going to be more trouble than it's worth. So if I can as well, I'm actually going to trim, once I've come down the middle of here, I'm going to trim round here and off around this, because I want that adjuster thread hole. So yeah, come around here, something like that. I'm going to just sack that bit off. In fact, I'll probably just come around the edge. There's good metal all the way around here. The reason this is primed is I did find some surface rust where the two pieces have been together all the years. So I ground that down to bare metal, and I've just, again, stuck some primer. I've done the same around the Aperture. So I've got that down to pretty much bare metal, tidied it all up, and I've just given it a couple of coats of primer, just so that it doesn't start oxidizing and rusting. It shouldn't do this time of year anyway, but bare metal in a garage, you know what it's like. So I'm pretty much ready now to start cutting the car, which is a terrifying prospect. I have completely ground down all my cutting discs, so I can't do any more today anyway. So I'll get this marked up on the car and then just start cutting that shape away. On the passenger side, things get a little bit more complicated. So I've already prepped this panel months and months ago. I've got the repair to do on the hole for the windscreen chrome. So I'm happy with all that. There's nothing wrong on this side with this Aperture or the pillar. So that's why I didn't save this. I don't think I had as much. The guy who cut it for me didn't leave me as much to work with anyway, but I will just copy that cut on this piece. I will then trim that back to the halfway point instead of right up to the lip. Then I'm not having to separate any layers of metal on the car, as discussed on the other side. Then here gets a bit more complicated. I've got a lot more. Let me just lift that out of the way. Oh, let's put that down there. Got a lot more digging and prep to do on this side here. You can already see here where I've caught the filler fabricated panel here. Like I said, this, I keep mentioning it, this is not metal. There's some metal under here, but as you can see, it is fabricated out of filler. So I'm going to have to cut here, cut into the V, do that cut, do this cut, and then I'm just going to, do you know what? I'll probably be able to just lift it and it'll just crack all the way along here where it's filler. Wherever it isn't filler, I'll cut it off, and then I can start seeing where to join it here. Because hopefully, unlike the other side, this side's all still got its rust proofing and sticky stuff. So hopefully if I dig down here, I'll find bare metal. But I might still do the same thing and just cut round where the wing sits and leave that layer that's on the car, because otherwise I've got to find that layer that's attached to this bit originally and separate it from the car, which, to be honest, it's kind of only that thick metal. It's about 1/2 mil thick or something, and it's pretty fragile, and what you end up doing is just flaking bits away. Just before I go, I just thought I'd mention I have started masking up in the engine bay. I've been covering the earth points with a nut and a washer. They've still got to be masked up. I don't know why I forgot those while I was in here earlier, but steering columns all masked up, all that stuff on the bulkheads masked up, apart from the earth points, and I've also masked up the entrances for the brake master cylinder and the what comes out there? Oh, like the loom and stuff comes out of that one. But the whole of this is ready to be sprayed. That's obviously a long way off, but I'm just starting to prepare. I'll also have to cover up everything in there, stop paint going under the car and covering everything. But that's easy enough done. So hopefully by next video, I've actually gone and bought myself a little gasless MIG welder. So I'm looking forward to trying that out. I'm getting a 16 amp socket put there by the garage door so that I can set up a bench outside on the drive and just practice sticking bits of metal together, because I've not done any welding yet. I've messed about down Andy's one time. That's it. So massive amount of learning for me to do before I go anywhere near the car. I've also bought this thing. This is actually a rock tumbler, and in there is some very hard ceramic material with lots of pointy, jaggy edges, and you chuck your bolts in there and then set it away, and it just vibrates and creates a sort of circular motion of all the material. And I've seen some very good results. So it might just save me a lot of time, because I've got a lot of bolts to do in batches, and doing them with the wire brush on the vise is great, but it takes a fantastic amount of time. It's a few days later, and I have prepped the driver's side, both the repair panel and the place the repair panel is going to go. Have I measured it absolutely pinpoint accuracy? No. In hindsight, I should have measured this bit a bit better. I think I'm a little bit, tiny bit short there. That's fine. I can put a bit of metal up there, bridge that gap. There's a slight gap between here on the aperture. Maybe in hindsight again, I should have left myself a little bit of the up lip. I don't know. Nothing I can do about that now. If I have to, I'll have to manufacture some sort of tabs, if you like, just so that it's got something to grip onto, and I'm not trying to fill a huge long line with welding. Same with this edge. I'm not sure if when this is in place, it looks a lot worse than it is. It's very hard for me to kind of hold it exactly where it's going to sit. But it may be, instead of welding two bits together like that, it may have been better, or it may be better for me to put a little lip underneath, because I could drill holes here and weld a little plate that just sits out and then gives a little shelf for that to sit on. Don't know, okay? There's a lot of experimenting to go on. It's also, I've noticed, I thought this panel was completely perfect, pretty much. It's not. It's quite bent. I think in transporting or removal from the other car, it's probably had a bit of riving. That's fine. You can't really see. When it's covered in primer, everything looks amazing because it's matte and it hides all the imperfections. But if this was gloss, it would look like some sort of hilarious mountain area. There's a lot of highs and lows that will have to be addressed later. But the main thing is just to get it on the car, probably weld this end first, and then I can kind of manipulate it, get it welded, and then we'll deal with all the highs and lows on here. That's not a problem. So everything's primed at the minute, by the way. I am aware, before someone mentions in the comments, you can't weld if there's primer on, because this isn't weld through primer. I am aware that when I come to weld, I will have to take the edges that I'm going to weld back to bare metal. I just cover everything in primer when it's sat in the garage, because, like, I've just recently done this. It may be 2-3 weeks before I get in here and actually do any more work, and I don't want it to start oxidizing. I think I've mentioned that before. I forget what I've mentioned in videos, because there are quite long periods of time in between me videoing these bits that you just see stuck together. As you can see here, I have made some progress on starting to remove the underseal. I've made a decision on what I'm going to do. I wasn't sure whether I was going to try and work without changing the underseal here. I don't know. I didn't really know what I was doing. I have made a decision. All the underseal's going from this part of the car forward. So that includes this bit that I've already made some progress on. There's still some bits to remove there. It needs to be completely spotless, obviously. It means going into the transmission tunnel to a certain point. So if you can just see there, obviously the underseal carries on, probably go to about that point there. It doesn't matter if there's a bit of a feathered edge, because what I will do is I'm going to paint basically the whole front of the car as it is now. So once these are welded on, well, actually before they're welded on, I'm going to paint in here so that this is as protected as it can possibly be. Then get these welded on. I am aware, like I said, I'll have to bare metal things so that I can weld. I can then spray, including the aperture of the window and everything forwards from that point, in primer, the base red, the shiny pearly top that makes it have that flamenco red Jaguar colour, or depth rather, and then clear coat. Probably 2 coats, I don't know, we'll see when we come to that. Based on how successful my painting is, because especially here, it's going to really matter. In the engine bay, it's going to matter 90%. Out here, it's going to matter not very much. But based on how successful I am, how much dust and crap and problems I have, that'll then make me decide whether I'm going to risk trying to spray the wings, which are up in the loft in storage at the moment, and possibly the bumper and the bonnet if I get really brave. If not, I've got myself to a point when this is all sprayed and lacquered and beautiful, where I can start putting the engine back in. And then I can basically just slap the wings and the bonnet and the bumper on and book it into a body shop if I want to. Got options, basically, that's what I'm saying. So that's my plan. Bit of experimentation. I didn't film any of this side. What I'm going to do in the next video is I am going to film the other side. So removing the underseal, cutting the car and all that kind of stuff. I didn't film this because I didn't know what I was doing, and I really wanted to focus on what I was doing. And there was quite a lot of trial and error, especially with removing this underseal crap. Man, that is stubborn stuff. I found a combination of heat gun, scraper, and then going in there with the wire brush. Seemed to work, made a hilarious mess, but it does come off. I know I said I think cars look a bit stupid when they have paint in the inner wing, inner wheel arch. So if it looks stupid, then later on I can always underseal it. I've got options basically. What I couldn't do is work with the old underseal. It just wasn't going to work because it was like, well, where do I stop painting and just leave the old underseal? It just would have been nonsense. I haven't really done anything with the engine because I've been so focused on all this kind of stuff. Apart from I have reblocked it up now, ready for painting and tidying up and bits and bobs. I have sourced a very scruffy second-hand sump because I have refurbed and just primed so far the original one, which is up in the loft in storage. This just means I can drop the engine up and down on blocks, move it about when I'm putting it back in the car, and if it gets scratched and dented, I don't care. So that's it for this video. I'm going to go walk the dog and have a very well-earned pint. I've made some progress today. Got my repair panels ready. Sort of started working out how I'm going to cut the car, and I've sorted the window aperture out. So see you later.